How's it going, everybody? Chapter 1 of Age of Nihilus is rounding up. The Quasar chapter is coming to a close, and we will be starting the Blast Star season very soon. There's a couple things we need to do to wrap up, though, and in this video I'm going to outline those things and give some helpful hints on what I would be doing and what I am doing heading into Chapter 2. So let's jump right into it, talking about wrapping up Chapter 1. You want to make sure you spend all of that intel. That intel is going to be getting converted into shop credits if you don't use it now. So if you head on over to the intel store, make sure that this balance is run down to 0. If you want to know what I consider the best use for this resource, I think by far, your gear tier 20 is going to be your best use if you don't have Professor X yet. If you do have Professor X, you might want to start looking at these Fantastic Four members as they enter the intel store. This is what I'm doing to power up these characters free to play. I already got Invisible Woman up to 5 stars. I've been using the absolute heck out of the intel store and really benefiting from it. But after the strike spot today, we did learn that Kahori is going to get a real big facelift in the next chapter. So I'm starting to get my Gear to 20 Mystic pieces ready to hopefully bring Kahori up. All right, but it's not over yet. Chapter 1 is still in effect, and you want to make sure you finish up your Quasar journey. Quasar is such an amazing character. His shards are still up for grabs. If you haven't maxed out his shards, make sure you head on over to the command center and see what you got to do to get as far as you can into this. They did a really good job at making sure there was a huge catch-up mechanic in this final month of the chapter, giving 510 shards on the table. So try and max this out if you haven't already maxed out your Quasar, and also head on over to the Quasar Scourge, the Quasar Trial, whichever word you like to call it. Make sure you're getting at least 1.7 million points onto those milestones so that you can go ahead and capture that 7 Red Star Quasar. But if you can muster it and put up a score of 2.4 million, you can grab 25 packs of Mystic Gear to 20 pieces. You can use that on Quasar, who's amazing and great in Professor X Trial, or you can do this on Kahori. Same thing, and she's going to get a really good touch-up being paired with the next legendary character. Not officially, but they're going to have a lot of synergies together. Now, if you want some help on how to get through the Quasar Trial, I did just put up what I call a mega guide for the Quasar Scourge, which will go you node by node, talking about the priority targets to eliminate, how to avoid certain mechanics, how to take advantage of certain mechanics, and that should help you out. And then we want to plan for Chapter 2 and Blast Star. We want to take a look at the landscape of the game, all of our favorite modes, which teams are safe to keep investing in, which teams aren't. Maybe we should put a hold, because what is coming up next? So let's talk about that. Let's start with our raid teams. This is the most important game mode in Marvel Strike Force. It can help you land yourself in a really good alliance. Do your part to contribute to alliance raids to get a lot more of that seasonal currency. It's not going to be intel after Chapter 1 finishes up, but whatever the next one is, it's going to be in raids again. So we know 2 teams are super safe. This is just from the history of Marvel Strike Force. Vigilante and Thunderbolts were teams that were released during the chaotic raids. You can expect that they will be used in the next raid tiers. You want to make sure you have those guys maxed, and this is great because these 2 teams can be used to get you that Quasar final milestone. We were just talking about that 2.4 million in the Quasar event. You really only need the Vigilante and Thunderbolts maxed out to do that. Night Stalkers would be the third newest team, if you will. They are the Mystic raid team. I do think they're safe based on the past history of new raid tiers. There's normally only 2 raid teams that are getting left in the dust, and Night Stalkers are going to be particularly tricky for Scopely to phase out because we have amazing Mystic characters. We have Odin, we have Mephisto, we even have Null now. So for them to try and phase out Night Stalkers would be very difficult, but that's not so much the case for Orcus or Extreme. I would expect these are the 2 teams that are going to be getting replaced, so maybe you don't want to invest in these guys a little bit too much recently. If you already invested in them, then don't worry about it. But if you're on the up and coming, maybe you want to min-max your build on Orcus and Extreme just so you're hitting what you absolutely need for your current raid usage. Heading on over to Crucible, everyone's favorite live game mode. I would strongly consider getting your Kahori in order if you haven't already. After watching that strike spot, it is clear that she is going to play a big role in making Blaster an absolute unit. So Blaster and Kahori are going to be safe. The reason I put Blaster on this, even though he's not here yet, is because we know that he is a bio character. So saving up your bio Gear Tier 20 pieces so you can get him Gear Tier 20 as fast as possible and take advantage of Overpowered is probably the #1 priority if you're a Crucible player right now. The next safe team is going to be Cursed. This is a Mystic raid team, so unfortunately, they will be sharing that gear with Kahori. Now, this team does not start off on the strongest foot, but once you start getting them to 6 or 7 stars, which is about 5 or 6 months after their release, which will happen during Chapter 2, I believe, then they are going to become an absolute unit. If you haven't invested in them yet, you can take the time to do so. If you are a big Crucible fan, that's a team you're not going to want to sleep on. Before that, we had the Starjammers come out. They were the Crucible Apex team for quite a while. This team performs best on offense. They can take themselves out on defense, which is really nice. And they have the Lilandra on the team, who you got to build up for your Professor X unlock anyways. You already have kind of that focal point on the team built up. Havoc is actually kind of amazing as a plug-and-play character, so 2 out of the 5 pieces are already amazing. And Starjammers look like they're going to be in the Crucible meta for at least the next year, so they are still safe. Phoenix Force. Phoenix Force is going to be a safe team every year to continue to invest in. So not just Chapter 2. We know that they're going to be getting new members probably around every February. So probably February 2026, you'll be getting the next Phoenix Force member. And who knows who that's going to be. But I'll tell you right now, Omega Red Phoenix Force and the OG Phoenix, they're holding their weight. And they're making a lot of interesting hybrids with their inability to gain trauma and the inability for their enemies to gain safeguards. So very, very powerful. Some teams to look out for on the fall, though, Illuminati and Cabal. They are definitely going to be falling off here. Unfortunately, they have those old pre-Ares stats. We have a lot of different characters countering what they like to do. They like to do turn meter rewinds. They like to gain speed up. It's going to be tough for them to keep holding on, and with only 6 streams in Crucible, it may be time to bail off of investing in them more than you need to for their legendary events. They do help you unlock Old Man Logan and Shadow King. The top war teams, Quasar, the character we've just been talking about, the character we unlocked during Chapter 1, the character that you hopefully took the time to max out and get to 7 red stars. The hybrid of Quasar is going to be a safe team in war probably for 3 years. War teams just have a longer lifespan. Liberty was released just before Chapter 1 started. They are going to be safe for quite a long time as well. Though I wouldn't say that you need to invest in the entire team. War Machine can be sat out for some awesome units like Null, like Mephisto, to take out some really powerful hybrids. Absolute A-Force is still looking pretty safe, and the Undying team, notably, is going to be getting a character, I guess at the end of Chapter 2 of the Age of Nihilus, or the beginning of Chapter 3. We know that we voted for that zombie Kestrel, and she did win. She'll be joining the Undying team in the October patch, the Halloween patch. So that is exciting. So Undying is definitely safe to build into, and if you build them now, then you can just slot her in and probably have what is going to be the best war team in the game. It always kind of gets revitalized. Now, the Mighty Avengers, that is a team that came out just before the Age of Annihilus started. I think this team is going to be on the fall as soon as they remove the Avenger buffs in the war rules, which we've had for, I think, 3 war seasons in a row. So it's kind of time for them to take that out. They're going to fall on hard times, especially I figure they'll do this when they change up the Spotlight raids. And we are due for a new raid. It could be the Spotlight. It could be a new Chaotic raid in August. I guess that's also a good shout out for this slide over here. So for raid teams, these are the teams we're going to be using until August. So you can take that as you will. If you need to put a little bit more into Orcus or Extreme to get them to work in August, which is coming up very soon, we're going to be getting a new raid. So it might be the one that replaces these guys, or it could be a Spotlight. We're going to have to wait and see on that one. But I would stay away from investing into the Mighty Avengers if you haven't already. At least no more than you need to for their Spotlight raid use, because they're also a raid team, technically. And guys, we do have Chapter 2 coming. There's going to be a blog about Chapter 2 and all the cool stuff coming to Chapter 2. I would be very interested to know what you are most excited about for Chapter 2. I'm personally excited about all the teams coming. We know Hellfire Club was voted on last year, so it's right around the time they should be coming. We did vote in Azazel. I'm super excited to see who's going to be joining him. Ryan Jacobson, the general manager, did let slip that we're going to be getting some Spider-Man villains joining us, and he said that there is an iconic art cover, none more iconic than the Hobgoblin ripping the Spider-Man costume in half. So we're probably going to be getting some additions to our Sinister Six, or at least some really cool Spider-Man villains. And Pathfinder did buy himself a cool little tiara. I know it was a crown, but we might be getting some Thor action. Thor does have some long history with Blastar after all, so I would love to see one of our original Avengers. I'd actually prefer him just be a new character so they can make him the focal point of the team. I would love to get some Rune King Thor action in the game. But let me know what you're most excited about Chapter 2 coming to the game. I think they have learned a lot of lessons from the negative zone, from What I think a lot of people were a little bit disappointed in the Scourge not really pushing that creativity a bit too much, and obviously Danger Room hit awesome, and I think they're going to lean a lot more into that. So I think chapter 2 is going to just be more positives, which I'm pretty excited about that. But let me know your thoughts on upcoming chapter 2 and your thoughts on chapter 1, because they do read these comments, and I know they're interested in having your feedback. All right, guys, for now, stay happy, stay healthy, have yourselves a wonderful day. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.